What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Comics Advice. Today, man, we're talking about Absolute Batman ARK M. It gets dark quick. I'm not gonna lie to you. It gets dark quick. This is what I thought was gonna happen with Absolute Batman 15, right? First appearance of Joker. No, nothing even. I'm not gonna say close, all right, but this, it gets dark quick. So basically, the premise behind Absolute Batman ARK M is talking about why Arkham Asylum was created. And it starts off talking about Armadius Arkham. Started off as a child. He had siblings, a nice house. His mom, took care of them because her dad was off fighting a war. And then, they were all playing in the living room waiting for the dad to come home. They hear, right, thinking it's a dad. It's a soldier, right, coming to basically say the dad passed away in battle. Well, I'm thinking, okay, this is an odd turn. All right, we'll see where it goes. As a soldier starts to deliver this message and console, the widow now, right? His mom takes the gun out of the holster from the soldier, shoots the soldier, shoots his siblings, points the gun, right, at Dr. Arkham, who we know now, spares him, and instead shoots herself. So Armadius Arkham started off in I would say a fun-loving family, and just like that, he's an orphan, right? Just like that. Eventually builds Arkham Asylum, and everything's going pretty well, and now he's gotten a little bit older, and he wants to sell it, and here comes the buyer. The buyer starts to ask him all these questions, how did it start? Where did it begin? And really, it started, all right, on this cursed land that people from Gotham told him not to build this on. They said, don't do it, it's cursed. But he was like, hey, if I can get some good out of this evil, I'm going to do it. And in the beginning, everything was good, right? Because that's how everything starts off. In the beginning, it's good. But when things get tough and they get rough, what happens then? And for the most part, it was good until he took in one inmate. And that kind of changed things a little bit, right? Because when you get that one person, for the reason you built the asylum, that nobody else can figure out how to help him, that's when you want to step in the most, right? That's when you want to help him. Well, that person had been killing men, women, children, you name it. It was life over for them. It was over for anybody who was standing in his way, right? And that's where things kind of went downhill a little bit. And then the buyer, all right, who wants to buy this from Dr. Armadius is like, hey, do you have any children? And I'm thinking, okay, this is a bit odd, but I'm like, fair enough question. He's like, no, except for this one time, a little boy showed up, kind of like an orphan, showed up to my doorstep covered in blood. And I knew he had been through some stuff, but I didn't know what he had been through. So you're kind of seeing where this is going, right? That little boy, I basically helped guide him, protect him. I wanted him to be under me as far as taking over Arkham Asylum when I'm done with it. I wanted this project to be his after. And he goes on to say, I should have been more careful because Jack Doe, the person who had been killing everybody, he took him basically hostage and held a knife at his neck. Now, Jack wasn't stupid. He knew if he did anything, bang, we would shoot him. Now I'm thinking, okay, this Jack guy who's killing men, women, and children, this is the Joker, right? Armadius wouldn't kill anybody, right? He would let the little boy go, and the buyer's like, do you still see anybody today? He's like, few and far in between. I have a little staff. And the buyer's like, okay, can you tell me about the big incident, right? What happened? I did my homework on you, right? You did your homework on me. Tell me about the big incident. Well, in this incident, in the big scheme of things, why Arkham essentially started to fall was because a security guard got too close to Jack's gate. Jack basically shanked him, right, with an object that was in his cell. And from there, that guard was basically, done on the spot. And instead of going after all the guards, they basically vanished, right? They vanished from the jail. But they did one thing, all right? They did one thing. Dr. Armadius Arkham said, they took the boy. They got rid of the boy. And for that, he's never forgiven himself, right? That's what he started to tell the buyer. And the buyer thought that was, kind of interesting. And he wants to go downstairs and check out where they escaped. And as you can see right here, they're talking about the wall being built and escaping, so on and so forth. And he is like, hey, Doc, why is this wall rebricked as well? He's like, having not been down here in ages, as I've said, it's not something I would have noticed before. And then goes on to say, ever wonder what else you never noticed, Doctor? He leaned in and whispered something to me then, something that stopped me cold, but before I could respond, he goes, the buyer. You don't have to see me out, Doctor. I love the place. All right, this would terrify Armadius because he goes, that night I could not sleep. I must have heard him wrong, my buyer, but part of me knew I had not. And I woke up and wrote these words, this desperate cry to anyone who might hear it. I shall put this journal in the post as soon as I'm done. But before I do that, I will go down into the dark one more time to prove what I already know. I shall remove the bricks and find what I know to be there, the horrible truth, the truth that might be my legacy, but this place will not be. And so I send this journal to you, Captain Flass of the Gotham City Police Department. I pray it reaches you in time to stop him, the man who laughs from the dark. Well, he was hoping it was going to reach somebody. It reached somebody. It was the Joker, right? So I'm like, okay, interesting ending, but we're not done, all right? Because the Joker isn't Jack Doe. The Joker is the boy, the one he once called his son, right? And you got JK right here. If you've read Absolute Batman, all right, you're familiar with that. If you haven't already, go catch up on that. It's good. And that was intense. And then we jump right here to Batman, right? So now we're jumping back. And it goes, you're watching our target. They call him the Batman. Well, that's cute. He's a former patient here, believe it or not. One who escaped, or so he thinks. Are we playing with our food here? What's next? I have my plans. If I'm being honest, sir, I've seen enough to see he's no real threat. So they think Batman is some lightweight. I'm like, okay, this is getting interesting. Because obviously now Jack Graham, the Joker, is talking to somebody. And they go, I can handle him easy. And Joker's like, I know you can, but there are other friends I'd like to introduce to him in the meantime. Kirk Langstrom, Pamela Isley, Hugo Strange, Jonathan Crane, Basil, and Jervis Tech. So with that in mind, and then the other person goes, none of this was necessary. Don't worry, you'll get your chance soon enough. Everything in due time. My Deathstroke. Woo-hoo-hoo. What an issue right there. All right, let me know your thoughts on that. I know we're a little bit late. I'm going to try and get back on time. But ARK M, man, the writing, the story, it kept you on your seat the whole time. All right, let me know your thoughts. That's going to wrap it up. Comics Advice is out. I'll catch you guys on next one. Take it easy. Peace.